Hi, I'm Perry Atkinson, General Manager here at theDove. Hey, check out our other videos and check out our website at thedove.us. Well, welcome to Focus Today. What a delight to have with us today Bob Waliszewski. He is one of the directors of Focus on the Family Plugged In Movie Review there in that department. And we play Plugged In movie review here on theDove every week. And this guy eats popcorn for breakfast. Hi, Bob. How are you?
Hi, Perry. It's great to be on.
Yeah.
It's popcorn I have to stay away from. I have a feeling I saw 137 movies last year alone, 140-something the year before, and 150 2 years before. If I had popcorn at every single one of those, you'd be looking at a guy on this Skype that would probably be about 375 pounds. So popcorn and I and breakfast and popcorn and I and movies have it's kind of, I do it occasionally, but it's kind of a rare thing.
Well, first of all, I want to say to you and your staff, thanks for what you guys do. You really provide a wonderful service, and you've been doing this since the 90s.
Yeah, 1991, I started at Focus. My first year was not in this department, but by 1992, I became a member of this department, and been here ever since. It was called Youth Culture way back when, right. And of course now it's plugged in as a department. It's plugged in online for our website. Everything revolves around that name, that brand, Plugged In. So.
All right. And by the way, it is pluggedin.com if you want to check it out. Well, Bob, let's get into it a little bit. You have seen an interesting trend with more faith-based themes in movies, and the production value is over the top, but are they true to Scripture? What are you seeing there?
Well, you're seeing both yes and no. Certainly last year with Noah and Exodus coming out, both of them taking significant liberties, especially Noah. Yeah. I mean, really, did rock monsters help Noah build the ark? I mean, Darren Aronofsky definitely was not trying to be faithful to the Scripture. On the other hand, we saw a lot of faith-based films that did quite well at the box office, which was a great trend to see, starting with Heaven is for Real, $92 million later, God's Not Dead, $64 million at the box office, Son of God made $61 million, and it was free the year before on the History Channel as part of the Bible miniseries. So it was dubbed the Year of the Bible. We've seen those themes, and this year we're seeing again. We're seeing I see War Room coming out with the Kendrick Sherwood picture. On Valentine's Day, up against 50 Shades of Grey, we have the faith-based film love story called Old Fashioned, and I like that film, by the way. I've seen it, like it, and I'm just happy that Christians are in that space, because we need to take advantage of the arts. It's not just, hey, I feel called to the ministry, therefore I'm going to be a preacher or a youth pastor or a missionary. It's like, God, where can you use me? And if we can write scripts, you know, God bless those that can write scripts. If we can act, if we can get behind a camera, if we can help fund, I'm glad that Christians are in that space. Well,
you know, I am too, and I'm glad to see a surgence back into the arts at all levels, which has been very encouraging. Do you expect more faith-based films to come out, and do you think Hollywood will recognize, hey, wait a minute, these are box office hits?
Well, yeah. Hollywood only recognizes one thing. And of course, we know what that one thing is. And it's called the dollar bill or the Benjamin or mega dollar bills. And that's why when something like Heaven is for Real makes $90-something million at the box office, Hollywood execs, you know, they're having a meeting on Monday and they're looking at the films and they're going, okay, top 10 films. What's this one? Yeah. What is Heaven is for Real, and how come it's doing so well? And so there's definitely studios that have no Christians in them that are starting to think, should we at least be a player in that space? I heard that MGM, for instance, has a new Christian film division. They're working on the same thing. How can we, as MGM, put out films that'll reach Christians. We may not understand that market, but we know they like to go, and we can see from the success of the box office that they're willing to buy tickets.
The rating system always becomes a challenge, and I think parents, as you well know, struggle as to where to draw the line. What's your recommendation these days?
Well, first off, as you alluded to, Perry, we can't trust the ratings. Yeah. The MPAA is the best that a lot of families have. So we have the G and the PG and the PG-13 and the R. But think about it for a minute. What does a PG-13 mean? It means, according to the MPAA, the Motion Picture Association of America, that if a child is 12 years of age and 364 days, well, now 365 days, we no longer call them a 12-year-old, but we have now called them a teenager, a 13-year-old, that they should be able to see the likes of, and fill in the blank. Wow. You know, the likes of Rock of Ages and The Internship, Love Guru. I mean, these are films that come with a PG-13 rating that if you and I were on the committee, the MPAA committee, we'd be saying, this is an R-rated film. This is restricted. This should be adults only. In fact, it should have never been made, but we would at least brand it with an R. But the MPAA says, no, it's acceptable for 13-year-olds and above. And there's a lot of films like that, very pornographic. We've seen ratings creep. It continues to creep every single day. So, well, anyways, what's the answer to it? You know, I hate to pat myself on the back. We're not the only player in town, but the answer is for families to go to sources other than the ratings and get more information. And pluggedin.com is certainly one of those sources. Well,
that I can't agree with you more. And you guys do a wonderful job on that. Again, it's called pluggedin.com if you want to check out the movies, because I know the parents are pulling their hair out on what to do and just how far this stuff goes. And so, do you think? Well, let's skip ahead a little bit. Some big box office hits going into the Oscars. Do you have any feelings about it this year?
You know, my overall feeling is a feeling of disappointment when I look at the 8. Now, I can look at a Selma and say, okay, we do need to recognize heroes, and Martin Luther King Jr. In this film is certainly an inspiring figure and to emulate. It had its content issue. Or I can look at an American Sniper and say Chris Kyle is truly an American hero, and we need, and I love the patriotism. But quite frankly, I'd have to go to Clint Eastwood, and say, do we really need a single F-bomb, you know? And then, do we need 100? Oh, well, in the name of realism, of course, we've got to throw those in. And I would argue. But more importantly, those are the two that I would probably say I kind of understand, but I don't understand the likes of Boyhood. I don't understand the likes of Birdman. I don't understand the Grand Budapest Hotel. These are three films that if you boil down the very essence of the film, there are times when the film says life is hopeless. In Boyhood, the main character, the boy, who we see at 6 and then we see the same boy when he turns 18, says at one point, what's the point? And what he means by that, what's the point of life? Do we really want to celebrate a film with an Oscar nomination who tells us culturally that life has no point? I disagree. I say that we should be celebrating films that are not only good art, but that send great messages, that encourage us, that uplift us, that inspire us.
Good for you. Well, listen, finally, back to the faith-based film just for a moment. I find it somewhat refreshing, and yet there's a little bit of a disturbance, that when the Christians go to a faith-based film, they are quickly to determine whether or not it's biblically accurate. On the other side of that coin is, I was at the NRB last year, and there was a great effort to push Noah. I mean, they were really pushing it hard, and it wasn't biblically accurate. I don't know where the line is here. People thinking, well, if it's a little bit biblically accurate, maybe that will draw them to the Bible. How do you respond?
Well, I would agree to some point that Noah at least brought to a larger culture the issue that there was a figure. Was he historical? Was he mythological? Right. There was some discussion. So in the water cooler of America, there were definitely people discussing the Bible. I think that's a good thing. I wish they were discussing Noah and the Bible, and then they could go together and see a great film, which they didn't get. But I do feel, at least in the case of Noah, and to a lesser degree with Exodus, lesser problematic in Exodus, that it allowed us to discuss those themes of the Bible.
You know what's interesting, because I think the faith community was able to say, great production. It does bring the story alive and brings it to the big screen, even though it wasn't theologically pure. It was a step in the right direction. I thought it's kind of interesting that the faith community is able to draw those lines.
Yeah, we at Focus struggled with that at first. You know, did we want to, you know, to pound it with a 12-pound sledge and say this is, and we just came and said, no, in many ways, Noah is a changed man once he encounters God, and how he hears his voice is unclear, but when he does, he's definitely wants to follow in obedience. Those are good messages. So it wasn't 100% pure, but it wasn't 100% theologically garbage. Yeah. It gave us some things to wrestle with. Noah was one of those rare birds that I think allowed us to do that.
Wow. Again, Bob, thanks to you and your team for what you guys do, and everybody that are Focused. You guys are wonderful, and keep up the good work. And we are honored to carry it on a weekly basis, both on radio and television here.
Thank you, Perry. We appreciate the Dove carrying pluggedin.com.
God bless. All right, we'll be right back.